There are a lot of Pokemon in existence. I mean, just look at that, that's a really big number. All of these Pokemon also just so happen to come with their own base stats, which play a crucial role in how that Pokemon can perform in a battle. Some Pokemon are really strong and have the stats to back that up. Others, meanwhile, are awful at everything they do and have the stats to instead blame for. However, there are also some Pokemon that happen to have stats that do not in any way match their actual competitive viability. They might be really strong despite having unremarkable stats, or have seemingly good or even great stats on paper but can't put them to good use in practice. Today, I wanted to talk about these types of Pokemon who have stats that don't mirror how strong they actually are in VGC. I'm focusing entirely on VGC in this video as I'm not very familiar with competitive single battles, so I apologize if you came looking for that. Also, if you find yourself enjoying this video, I would appreciate it if you could leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. Alright, enough yapping. Let's just get straight to the point. Okay, let's just get this guy out of the way first. Smeargle has some of the most atrocious stats that a fully evolved Pokemon could possibly have. Curse of the Johto region, I know, but even for Gen 2, this is abysmal. Yet a newcomer to the game would probably be surprised to learn that Smeargle was a VGC terrorist a decade ago. But how is Smeargle so strong even with such low stats? Well, maybe we can figure this out together. Let's start by looking at its move pool. It seems we have figured out why Smeargle was so strong. Smeargle has a signature move called Sketch, which simply copies the last move that the target used and then allows Smeargle to learn it. Oh, so it's just a reskinned version of Mimic then, right? Sort of, but with one key difference. Smeargle learns the copied move permanently, meaning that Smeargle is the sole Pokemon in existence that can learn every move in the game, allowing it to become one of the most absurd support Pokemon of all time. It can be perfectly engineered to fit the exact role that your team needs with any combination of supporting moves it wants. And this trait was at its most terrifying during the 2016 season of VGC. Back in 2016, Smeargle dominated the entire format by abusing Darkrai's signature move, Dark Void. Smeargle could put both of its opponents to sleep on a single move quite consistently, since Dark Void at the time was only 85% accurate, which is far better than most of the sleep moves. And then it could also just randomly pull out any other support move that it wants without you having any idea on what it could be using, since open team sheets didn't exist yet. It could be literally anything, from Wide Guard to Feint to Haze, anything that you could think of, Smeargle could run it. I meant what I said. But that isn't even it, because Smeargle also has access to what might be one of, if not the most broken abilities in the entire game, Moody. Moody is a very simple ability. At the end of every turn, the user randomly gets one of its stats increased by 2 stages, and another stat lowered by 1 stage. This could spiral out of control insanely fast, to the point that it having such bad stats doesn't even matter anymore. Out of the blue, it could just randomly start outspeeding things and surviving hits that it has absolutely no right to. It could even start randomly dodging 100 accuracy moves, because Moody could also increase accuracy and evasion before Gen 7, making it even more of a nightmare to deal with. After Gen 6, Smeargle got heavily nerfed, losing access to Dark Void entirely, and Moody could also no longer affect evasion and accuracy whatsoever. But even though now it's not nearly as strong as it once was, it still manages to find success on some teams, even with how low its stats are. Although to be fair, if Smeargle had better stats than it does... Actually, I think I don't want to think about that. I'd rather not wet the bed again tonight. On the exact opposite side of the spectrum as Smeargle, here's Haxorus. When you look at its stats, you would expect that it would be a really strong offensive threat. It has an incredible base attack stat at 147, with middling bulk and decent speed. But you see, therein lies the problem. Its speed being only decent holds it back dramatically. Yes, I know this one's kinda cheating, but hear me out. It gets consistently outsped and one-shot by a lot of common metagame threats. Its stats aren't technically bad, but its competition is just way better because they're just faster, even if Haxorus hits harder. Its abilities aren't really doing it too many favors either. Mold Breaker and Unnerve aren't bad, but they also aren't really going to come up in too many scenarios, especially Mold Breaker. What does it even do with Mold Breakers? Click Stomping Tantrum into Rotom? Sure thing, man, let's see how far that gets you. Unnerve isn't that bad either, but if you're getting outsped in one shot anyways, then how much is it really doing for you? Does it even have anything that, I don't know, maybe just boosts its damage? Maybe not even like all the time, but just like some of the time? We figured it out, y'all. Haxorus is saved. Let's go! The biggest issue with Haxorus is that it's just completely outclassed by a bunch of other dragon types. Garchomp doesn't hit as hard, but is also faster and a lot bulkier. It being part ground type also really helps, since it can hit the steel types that resist its dragon moves. Something like Dragonite also has access to Inner Focus to make it immune to flinches and intimidate, on top of also being able to use extreme speed next to something like Qian Power to quickly deal massive damage. And don't even get me started on Dragon Ball, my lord. If you want an offensive Dragon-type Pokemon, why would you use Haxorus when there are just so many other options that are just way better than it in nearly every way? This guy could really use dear god anything new that lets it stand out from its fellow Dragon types, but until that happens, Haxorus will probably live in mediocrity forever, unless it somehow finds itself in a metagame where it isn't completely outclassed. Oh yeah, also forgot to mention, Rivalry Hackstars was on 3 teams in the top 8 of Worlds 2011. Thought I should probably bring that up, feels kind of important. What, you thought I was joking about Rivalry earlier? I am being dead serious when I say that Clefairy is a genuinely amazing support Pokemon in VGC. Not Clefable, Clefairy. Its stats are terrible, as to be expected from a Pokemon that isn't even fully evolved. And I still guarantee you that at least one person has probably broken the controller in a fit of rage because of this little freak. The main appeal of Clefairy is its hidden ability, Friend Guard. This is an ability that very few Pokemon get, and probably for a good reason. All it does is that it reduces the amount of damage that its ally Pokemon takes by a quarter. A 25% decrease in damage taken might not seem like that much, but trust me when I say that this ability is insane. This is the same amount of damage decrease that Wo-Chien and Ting Lu give into the whole field with their abilities. But unlike the 2 Treasures of Ruin I just mentioned, Friend Guard applies to all directed damage, so it's like having both of those abilities in one, except Clefairy itself isn't getting the defense boost as a trade-off, only its ally does. Not that Clefairy cares that it isn't getting that buff much, since it's always running the Eviolite item anyways, or Eviolite, however the hell you pronounce it. The Eviolite is a held item that grants the user a completely free 50% increase to its defense and special defense if the user is a Pokemon that can still evolve. So despite Clefairy usually dying to a light breeze, it can hang around the field for quite a while and eat hits like a fully evolved Pokemon. It also doesn't just have Friend Guard going for it. It has access to the move Follow Me as well, so you can redirect hits that you don't want your other Pokemon taking into Clefairy, which can allow them to sit up, switch in for free, or just stay on the field and attack without being at risk of getting KO'd by your opponent. Fun fact, this move is also mostly the reason Pachirisu won the World Championships. It's just ridiculous. And that's still not all that Clefairy can do. It can use moves like Icy Wind or Thunder Wave to slow your opponents down, helping him to boost your own ally Pokemon's damage, on-quarter lock your opponents into using a single useless move, and left your Heal Pulse to heal damage off of your teammates, just to name a few. I could keep going, but I would personally prefer if this section of the video also isn't half of the video's runtime. Clefairy is a pink demon in VGC, and while it isn't used quite as often as the other redirection users, it's still one of the better ones at its job. I mean, hey, at least it can't get any stronger, right? Yeah, exactly. See? It just got way worse. First off, congratulations to Virizion for somehow managing to be the worst Pokemon in your legendary trio in 2 different time periods. Hell yeah, give it up, everyone. Secondly, oh my god, this thing is awful. At first glance, Iron Leaf seems like a really threatening physical attacker. It has 130 attack, good bulk, faster than Garchomp, so surely it's a strong Pokemon, right? Oh my god, this thing is awful. The main issue holding Iron Leafs back is its typing. Grass Psychic is a very unfortunate type combination, both offensively and defensively. The biggest weakness it has is a 4x weakness to U-Turn. U-Turn is an incredibly strong pivoting option, and being not only weak to it, but this weak to it is a really nasty trait to have. You also just hard lose to Incineroar. You're weak to both Fire and Dark, and you can't deal much meaningful damage back to it, since one of your stab types is resisted, while the other Incineroar is just straight up immune to. You also really struggle into Rillaboom, who often runs U-Turn and resists Grass, Fluttermane, who just destroys you with Shadow Ball, God forbid you fight Volcarona, the list just goes on. Another thing not helping it out is its move pool. Sure, it has good physical stab, good fighting coverage, and moves like Throat Chop and Mega Horn, but it has barely anything outside of that. I mean, yeah, it can click Sacred Sword into Incineroar, but it's still not doing that much if you don't have the Clear Amulet to block the Intimidate. And how else are you going to activate Quark Drive without Booster Energy, which is absolutely necessary on it to get that speed boost? Are you really going to be that guy that tries to get Pikachu to work at the big 2025? If that's you, then good luck, because I doubt it's going well. And yet they still gave it some pretty strong special moves, strangely enough. It has Leaf Storm for good burst damage, Calm Mind for increasing your offense and defense, Focus Blast if you have a gambling addiction. It genuinely almost feels like to me that this was originally supposed to be a special attacker before Game Freak just changed their minds at the last second for whatever reason. Iron Leaves just loses to so many common things in the metagame that it just can't hold its own weight at all. All Pokemon have their bad matchups, of course, but Iron Leaves just feels like it has far too many. I don't even know if adding something like Tapu Koko back into the game would be enough to save it, because at that point, why wouldn't you just run a stronger Paradox Pokemon like Iron Valiant or Iron Bundle? Iron Leaves is a Pokemon that just feels like it was doomed to fail from the start. This might be the saddest case of a Pokemon's strength and not matching its stats in this entire video. I genuinely think that to fix Iron Leaves, you would have to take away a part of the Pokemon's identity, either by swapping out its ability or typing for something else. And even then, it still sucks. Pelipper is a bit of a weird case here because for a while there, Pelipper actually was bad. It has good defense and okay special attack, but the rest of its stats leave a lot to be desired. Its 2 abilities also weren't that great either. Keen Eye is insanely situational and will be useless in 90% of games, and Rain Dish is okay, but at that point you should probably just run something else that has Swift Swim. So then why am I talking about Pelipper here if it's that bad? Well, that would be because Pelipper is one of the best Pokemon in the game nowadays, all thanks to a massive buff that it received in Gen 7. Pelipper got access to the ability Drizzle, allowing it to set up rain whenever it switches into battle. This single buff was all that it took to skyrocket Pelipper into VGC stardom. Drizzle works just so well with the rest of its toolkit, it's actually unreal to me. Pelipper, being a flying-type bird, naturally learns the move Hurricane, a very strong special attacking flying-type move that is only 70% accurate to balance that out. Unless the move is used in rain, in which case the move is guaranteed to land no matter what. So Pelipper can just switch in and immediately start firing off powerful hurricanes that also cannot miss to do huge chunks of damage to its opponent, while also setting up rain to support its teammates. It also doesn't just have to click Hurricane either. It can also use the move Weather Ball for strong water type damage as long as the rain is set up. It used to run Scald before we were all gaslit into believing that it's actually the signature move of Volcanion, but Weather Ball still works as a really strong substitute. Pelipper also has access to a few very good supporting moves as well. It mostly just runs Tailwind to help with speed control, although it also sometimes runs Wide Guard as well. It's a really useful tool that completely blocks spread damage moves like Astral Barrage and Glacial Lance for its teammates. Fun fact, Wide Guard also doubles as the Pelipper move that has made me the most angry. Pelipper has probably had one of the greatest comebacks I've seen for a Pokemon ever. The instant it got Drizzle, it went from completely useless to a staple of rain teams. It's got a bright future ahead of it, and I'm confident that it isn't going away anytime soon. Okay, when I said that it has a bright future, that is not what I meant. Okay, so the last Pokemon that I wanted to talk about today, I chose specifically since I know it's going to ruffle some feathers, which is why I think it's funny. To anyone that isn't very familiar with VGC, this might come as a surprise to you, but believe it or not, Mewtwo is absolute garbage in VGC. But how is that even remotely possible? I mean, just look at its stats. 130 speed, 154 special attack, really good bulk overall. Literally, how could it be bad? Two things about Mewtwo. First, it's a restricted legendary. Restricted legendaries are legendary Pokemon that are banned in most competitive formats. So it's not like you could just bring Mewtwo into Regulation F, for example, and then just start destroying everything with Expanding Force. These stats aren't unusual for restricteds. This actually leads into the second thing about Mewtwo, which is the actual crux of the issue with it. It is a massive victim of power creep. Because whenever Mewtwo is legal, so is Calyrex Shadow Rider, which might as well be the Mega Mewtwo Z that it never got. Shadow Rider has a disgustingly high 150 base speed stat, and that somehow isn't even its highest stat. It's way faster than Mewtwo, it's way harder, it has a secondary ghost typing so it's immune to Fake Out, it can click Astral Barrage for absurdly strong spread damage, and it even has access to Unnerve like Mewtwo does, on top of also getting to use Grim Neigh at the same time. It's just Regieleki and Tapu Koko all over again, only Mewtwo has even less hope than Koko does, since Shadow Rider is just that absurdly overtuned. Not even Mewtwo's two Mega Evolutions were able to do much in VGC when they were legal. Mega Mewtwo Y at least has a couple results on its Limitless page, but Mega Mewtwo X was just sad, man. Restricted legendaries with Megas are already a tough sell since you're giving up the ability to power up one of your regular Pokemon into something comparable to a restricted, to instead power up a restricted slot even further. A lot of the time, you would probably rather just have two normal restricted Pokemon, and then just save your Mega for something else that could almost act like a third restricted legendary. And even if you do decide that the trade-off is worth it, if the Mega you chose was the physical attacking Mewtwo variant, you've probably already made the wrong choice. Mewtwo is already built to be a special attacker, so if you suddenly try to pump everything into its physical attack, it's not going to work out that well. Mewtwo can't even learn close combat. What the hell are you doing making it a physical fighting type? If you really want physical damage on your Mewtwo, Psystrike is right there since it's a special move that hits the target's physical defense. Mega Mewtwo X just feels completely redundant to me, and while Mewtwo Y is better, there are still far stronger options for a restricted legendary than Mewtwo. But hey, at the very least, things could at least still be a whole lot worse. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Real quickly, I know it's cliche for all the YouTubers to do this at this point, but I just wanted to thank you all for all the support that I received on my last video. I did not expect to get over 1,000 views on any of my videos that quickly, never mind the 3,000 plus that it has now at the time of recording this. It's probably higher by now. So again, thank you all so much for the support. It really does mean a lot to me. Speaking of which, if you want to go watch that video and haven't already, it should be on screen right now if you want to go check it out. Anyways, that's all that I've got for today. Thanks for watching.